Hi everyone, welcome back to another watercolor tutorial. We are painting a winter scene today, and I have my piece of paper in portrait position with the borders taped, and I'm just gonna get right into it. So we're gonna start about 2/3 down. That's gonna be our horizon line, and I'm going to start off with a blue and just do a line like so. The reason why I'm not doing wet on wet for this part is because the colors come out much less intense when I do it that way, and I want them to be intense. Next I'm going to grab yellow, and I'm going to go from top to bottom, because if I go the other way around it'll turn green and the blue will overtake much of the yellow. So I have to kind of wet my brush, like rinse it and then go over those to blend them together. Then I'll take an orange, this is inspired by Bombay Painting Club, by the way. And then finally I'm going to end with another blue. I'm going to choose a different blue this time, more of a navy. And then I'm going to add a brighter one. And then I'm going to try to blend these again without what I described earlier. Sometimes it helps to just have a neutral color in between the two. Peach. I like to use peach sometimes, but I didn't do that this time because I kind of forgot that I do that. So I'm happy with that. I don't want to be too nitpicky about it because I do that so much in paintings, and I don't like that I do that because then the tutorial ends up being way too long. I just realized that this bottom part dried a bit too quick, so I'm re-wetting it, and unfortunately when that happens you kind of have to re-wet the whole thing. I hate that. Shouldn't use that word. I don't like this because now it straightens what I've done rather than making it like the fluidity that it had before, but I had to do that because I forgot to add at the bottom here black, what would you even call this? Like on top of the horizon, that's not black, that is brown. A black line like this because I want it to spread upwards and be like a row of trees growing on the horizon. And I'm also going to do that on this side, but of a different nature. Like it'll be a little bit more vertical. Yeah, so I had to re-wet it because, well, for that reason, but also if I didn't do that, then it would probably cauliflower. And I'm probably gonna have a little bit of cauliflowering going on here because I only re-wet it up to here. But you know what, you gotta pick your battles. Okay, so while this background is drying, just debating what to do about this because this transition is not as fluid as I would like it to be. I can't do anything about it because they're all the sections are drying at different rates, but it's really bothering me. I can't let go. So I am gonna just take the orange and I'm gonna try to blend it naturally. Maybe if I pick up kind of a neutral color like I mentioned, that will help, but right now it's turning a little bit into a mess there. I'm so, like, this is for sure gonna cauliflower. Ugh. Well, out comes the mop brush. Do things properly the first time, and then you can avoid all of this. That's too bad. I really liked that background the first time, but what are you gonna do? Okay, so while it's drying and doing its thing, we're gonna be putting quite a bit of deciduous trees here in the background, as well as some in the foreground. There's gonna be a little bit of a shed right here. You know what, I'm gonna blow dry this rather than trying to do things in sections. So that should be dry, and of course it dried to be way lighter than I wanted it to be, but I can't do anything about that. Well, I can, but I'm choosing not to, because for those that watch like every single video of mine, you know what's been going on the last few tutorials. These tutorials take me an eternity. Things that are supposed to be so simple, and it ends up being a 45-minute tutorial. So no more of that. I'm just, not that I'm trying to speed through this, but I do need to value my own time a little bit more. And also just, it's a good practice to be okay with things not being absolutely perfect. They don't have to be perfect. They can be imperfect. They can be, like, they can still look good without having every single detail I can possibly think of. But anyways, here I am, what am I doing? I am painting or sketching out my shed. I always like to have a sketch of my sheds because it takes the guesswork out of where I'm placing everything. Although I do find that I tend to be more accurate when I don't sketch it out, because then I'm kind of forced to do it accurately the first time. But yeah, with this, something like that. That's going to be the shed, and then we're gonna have a fence that funnels or tunnels out in front here. Usually I don't sketch my fence posts. But since I have my pencil out already, why not? So obviously as they go close or further away from the viewer, you want to sketch them closer and closer together. Yeah, that'll just go like that. It'll look something like this. But let's get started with that. So, what was I gonna say? The shed is gonna be brown and the roof is going to be white because it's gonna be covered with snow. I really like painting things like that because it's really easy. So you're welcome to follow suit, or you can also just make a brown roof. It's up to you. Whatever works with you or for you. Oh, I messed. How did I mess that up so much? So I was gonna start with Christmas and holiday themed tutorials this week. Or this tutorial was supposed to be the start of Christmas, basically. But I came across this screenshot that I had from a very long time ago that I just never painted. And I was like, hey, it's a good opportunity to do that now. Because you can make it Christmassy. Now that I think about it, it's a snowy barn. You can add a few evergreens, snow, and boom, it'll make it Christmassy. But totally up to you. We'll see where we get with this painting. I know I keep saying, oh, I want to keep it simple, but sometimes I say things and then I just can't help myself because I see the potential. But anyways, so the base of our barn is done. I'm just going to wait for for it to dry to do the roof. Ooh, actually, I realized that I forgot to do the chimney. That's a little bit big for a chimney. Oh well. It is what it is. I just added a bit of shading on the edges here because technically the roof is overlapping, so it's casting a shadow. But anyhow, so I'm gonna paint a few deciduous trees. Now the reason we painted this black, I mean mine is so faded now so it's almost not doing anything, but I painted that because I wanted kind of a base to paint the deciduous trees onto, because if it was just yellow it just would, you'd have to paint quite a few trees to achieve the same look, and I find that I can get away with them not being as detailed when I have a base that's either of the same color or the same nature to kind of give me something to go off of. But yeah, unfortunately mine did what it did, so we're gonna do what we can here. I might just add in some pine trees because it's just, it'll make it a little easier. And it's not going to be too much effort to paint a pine tree versus a deciduous tree. Like I'm just going to do a small one here. Keep in mind we are going to have a white roof here, so I'm trying to estimate where that roof is going to end. Something like that. I went to Costco today because I had an appointment in the city. It's quite beautiful to drive now. I don't enjoy the drive. It's an hour to really get anywhere specific in the city from where we live. And I mean, who wants to drive that long for a simple shopping trip? But right now the colors, because I'm painting this mid-September, are so beautiful. Like the oranges and reds and yellows, it's all starting to change. So it was really nice. But what I wanted to say is I went to Costco. It's usually my husband that does all the shopping because he works from the office. a few times a week, so he does the shopping since he's already in the city. And whoa, I haven't been to Costco in a long time. And we spent $400, or I spent $400 in that single trip, and I was just getting basics. I wasn't doing any impulse buys. It was just the stuff that we eat on a regular basis that I needed to restock. And I don't know if it, like, what it is, if it's politics or what, that's making the prices of things literally double. I remember when I was paying $20 for a bag of those chocolate chips that Costco sells, and now they're $40. They're double the freaking price. I'm like, well, what am I gonna do? Just not give my child pecans? We would usually like in the past when we lived in the city and we'd go shopping to Costco, like our average spend was a max of $200 getting all of, and that was with impulse buys, by the way. So it's just kind of become out of hand, these prices. I regret not buying some chocolate bars or something, though. I could really, I could go for some sugar. Shopping is not very exciting anymore. Or I shouldn't say exciting, and it wasn't ever exciting. I never enjoyed shopping, definitely not for clothes, but I really enjoyed grocery shopping and that sort of thing. But with a toddler, like, maybe it's because my toddler is being raised in a forest, and she doesn't really know what a grocery store is because it's my husband that mostly does the grocery shopping. Like, we pick in the summer, which is like just recently, we're still picking stuff where she's actually for the first time cognizant of really what's going on and understanding of what's going on. Everything, like, we pick so many things from the garden that we just eat and make for dinner that day. So she knows where her food comes from. But because of that, when we go to a grocery store, I don't know if she's just overstimulated and she doesn't act like all the other children her age or younger than her. Like, she just cries and wants to push the cart, but I can't let her push a giant cart in Costco when there's people that are very in a rush and are gonna run her over. That has been so challenging to navigate. So I just basically have to put her in the cart and then listen to her cry as I try to speed through the aisles and be one of those in a rush people and grab everything just so I can get out of there as quickly as possible. And then there's people giving me dirty looks that I'm stopping in the middle of the aisle. Not in the middle of the aisle, they can go around me still, but... And you know what? I've learned not to care. Like, you're gonna be patient. You seem like you don't have a toddler in your cart, so just freaking wait. But, so yes, $400 at Costco. Ridiculous. Scary. Sad. It's like we're trying to save money right now and then I go and blow it on food. I'm just adding some little shadows and random details to make this painting a little bit less just white on the bottom here. I want there to be a little bit of color or whatnot, something. So I'm gonna paint these fence posts and I'm gonna paint these larger trees sticking up here as well. So I'm gonna have one whopper starting here and just, if I was in this house, I would be concerned. I'd be like, let's call an arborist and get this tree cut down because it's gonna squash our house. When we were bulldozing our old house to build the one that we're in now, we also had our builder take down some of the massive pines that were around our house because they were too close and they were leaning towards it. And I just feel like it's a matter of time before one of these falls on the house in a windstorm. And just for fun, like, the builder was totally excited and for it. We had him topple these 50, 60 foot pine trees onto our house. They're white pines, so they're massive. And that was fun to watch, but it was also like unnerving because we lived under that for almost 4 years, I think it was, under these trees, and had many ice storms, many windstorms, many storms just in general. And like, if that fell on the house, to be fair, this house was built in the 70s, so the construction was pretty good. Like, the lumber was, you know, old lumber, the good stuff, not the stuff that's grown just for building purposes. So and I don't know where I was going with that, but it was fun to watch that happen. But I'm certainly glad we took those down. I think in hindsight, I would have taken a few more down, because now every time it's slightly windy, I get really nervous. Like, I don't want one of these trees to fall on my new home but even worse, like, harm one of us, because it would just go straight through. So paint as many of these trees as you would like. I think I'm gonna stick with that, but I will add some little grassy patches here underneath these trees to sort of have them naturally camouflage into the surrounding area. And then I'll paint shading underneath. It's a bit too dark. Okay, let's do the fence posts now. And then I'm really tempted to paint birds in the sky. I've been on a roll with the birds in the sky. I've been painting them in most landscapes recently, and they're just so fun. Like, it's because I've not perfected, that sounds pretentious. Not pretentious, that sounds boastful. And that's not my intention. What I want to say is that I painted birds in a very amateur way for a very long time. And then one day I just looked at a picture of a bird, like in the distance, and actually looked like what they look like when they're flying. And I realized that it's so easy to paint them more realistic looking with just a tiny bit of effort and changes in brush strokes. And that's what I started doing. So now, instead of like when I'm really, in the past, when I was really desperate, I would add birds and hope that they turn out in a way that works with the painting. But now I add them because they really elevate the painting regardless. So for the cross hatches of these fences, I'm gonna do 2 bars going across, and if this is cedar, I always try to make it as irregular as possible because it adds to the rusticness, if that's a word. It makes it look like an older barn or older fence. I just like the look of that. So just keep that in mind when you're painting yours. And we're also going to add some shading underneath. I'm going to do a little bit of just dotting at the base. Could be little squirrel footprints and whatnot. Okay, and then I'm going to add some of this gray along the base of the fence as well. Just have to be careful not to overdo it too much. Water it down a good bit. Tire tracks. And then I'm gonna make them a little bit blue. I'm gonna add a tiny bit of blue in there to give it a tad bit of color. And then black as well, although I'm gonna wait to add the black until this is a little bit more dry, because otherwise it'll spread out in a way that I'm not intending it to. And so in the meantime, while that's drying, ah! Jeez, that was aggressive. My acrylic paint just exploded. Luckily the paint didn't go anywhere detrimental, because I've had that happen way too many times recently. But I'm just using the white acrylic paint to paint the snow on my roof. I keep meaning to grab, I just use, and I have used forever, very cheap dollar store quality acrylic paint for these paintings, and as a result it's not very opaque, so I have to do multiple layers, and it's watered down, and it's good for some applications where I require a thinner paint, but most of the time it's just annoying because I have to do quite a few layers to achieve what I'm looking for. But I forgot that I bought like a artist grade, so still not super high quality, but better than this dollar store stuff. I bought this little 5-pack, and one of the colors was white, so I do have a better quality one, and I keep forgetting to grab it and just put it in front of me on my desk, because I am not gonna make the effort to go walk 3 meters and grab it during a tutorial. Probably would have been done this roof by now if I just had. Oh my gosh. Hello? Hello?
Hello.
Can I help you?
Hi, this is Heidi. I'm here from the Gingerbread part of our reading today.
spam. I can always tell that it's spam when there's like this echo. I don't know how else to describe the sound. It's like, I guess, the connecting sound. And this acrylic paint has a mind of its own today. I'm just surprised that those calls still work. That people answer those calls and say, yes, I am interested in your duct cleaning. Maybe it just works on old people because they're either more naive, like not, I don't know. Or it could be, and I mean this with all due respect because I know I have a lot of seniors that watch my videos, but some older folks are lonely. Like they just don't have family around anymore, or I mean, whatever the case is for them. And so they just use this as an opportunity to talk to somebody, and they're more vulnerable because of that. It's sad, but it's the truth. And I know that because I used to very briefly in my university years, I did like a call center, just asking people who they're voting for. I had to like read this script. I did not last long in that position. You need to be like mentally strong to last in that position because people are mean. It's one thing if they just hang up on you, because I do that. I just hang up. I don't have the time or patience to say, no, I don't have ducts. I don't need cleaning for the 100th time. Yeah, some people just get really angry at you. And you know what? Fair enough. Like if I had to pick up the phone, well, I mean, I do experience it as a consumer, so I get it. I get the frustration, but you really have to, like being on the other end, you have to have a thick skull. Is that the saying? You really just have to be mentally strong to not let that affect you and just keep going. And I'm adding a little bit of snowy detail to, why is this orange? I want to add snowy detail to the base of my shed. And I do it mostly to hide my uneven painting of the base of the shed. But also I want to add snow to my trees, especially the trunks. I always like doing that. It gives it a little bit of extra pizzazz. Oh, and the fence posts. Although it's not as visible on the fence post because they were painted on a white background, but I think I might leave it there. I am a little bit tempted to add white, like falling snow to this painting. Sorry, I just realized I forgot to add a door to the barn. So just very quickly and simply adding a rectangle. But yeah, you could add snow, and I'm tempted to do that to make it a little bit more whimsical. Maybe just a couple drops. Doop, doop, doop. That's good for me. I'm gonna leave it at that. Look at that, 35 minutes long. Shorter than a wreath that I recently painted. But yeah, let me know what you guys think of this one. Please check out my Patreon as well. I post exclusive content on there, and if it's within your means, that's another way to support me. Otherwise, please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next one.